the incredible, the fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, come one and come all to a film you've never seen before. But remember, folks, no refunds.
Hello and welcome to No Refunds, the podcast where we watch bad movies so you don't have to. A ColdNorth production. I'm your host, Ben Reynolds, and this week we watched George Barry's 1977 film, Deathbed, The Bed That Eats. Joining me this time we have the tenacious Tim Miller.
Nom nom nom.
And Patrick the Law Morris.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Someone should have had an apple to take a bite out of.
I'm eating an omelet. I can't do much better than that.
Check out everything we have going on over at ColdNorthPro.com. And if you like what you hear, leave us a rating and review wherever you found our podcast. And now, Deathbed, the Bed That Eats. All right, so each week we all take a crack at writing the Google plot synopsis. And then we read what Google actually has. Well, I mix them up, and then Pat and Tim try and decide which one's which. So I think first we should just decide which one's Google, and then you guys should try and decide whose is whose after that, because this
Agreed.
week especially. All
Is
right,
it that
so,
obvious?
We'll see. All right, we'll start here. When a demon falls in love with a young girl, their love will create something dastardly. As she is human, she cannot accept his love and dies on a bed he made for her. The blood and darkness that surrounds the event latch on to the bed, giving it life, and now it must feed. Feed upon the many souls who wish it to inhabit its inviting frame. And then next, we've got a demonically possessed bed is stricken by a ceaseless hunger for humans. Many years later, a trio of women tempt the bed yet again. Then we have, after conjuring a bed in an elaborate plot of seduction, a demon spills its tears of blood on the bed and retreats into seclusion. The demon's blood brings the bed to life, and with it comes a thirst for human flesh and fried chicken. Working in a small window of opportunity, one of the bed's victims attempts to destroy what has become known as the deathbed, the bed that eats, and end its hunger once and for all. And finally, a long ago failed seduction results in a demonically possessed four-poster that consumes lovers.
What? Seriously? Okay. So 4 was Google.
Agreed.
1 was Tim. 2 was Ben. 3 was me.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
What the fuck, Google?
Yours was
I took
so
5 minutes
simple.
and I wrote something better.
Ben, yours was so simple, and then Google's was just like half as long and even less complex.
Yeah. I know. I tried to be really vague, and Google just outdid me.
Just consumes lovers.
Yeah.
I gotta say, Tim and I, A pluses. Ben, solid B. Google, like a D plus.
No, That's a
My
that's a
first-
total F. They didn't even
my
meet
first-
the requirements.
My first draft, I included something about it eating the artist. And then I was like, actually, I don't need that. Google wouldn't use that.
God,
But yeah.
this was a movie.
It was a fucking movie for sure.
Yikes.
I mean,
Is all I can say.
it was.
A lot like a trip to Nilbog. It was like a second trip to Nilbog.
I'd say it was worse than a trip to Nilbog.
Oh man.
Honestly.
Okay. Let's get to the questions because I have a lot on this movie that I want to share.
All right. So each film we go through, we'll revisit these 7 questions to lead our discussion. The first question is, how bad was it? It's bad. It's real bad. I think we can all agree on that. Let's maybe move right on to what made it bad.
It's really, really bad. And like there's so much to choose from with what made it that bad. Like the fact that there's so much crunching sounds.
The sound effects. Yeah.
And then
And like the fact that there was no music except for just like ominous synths.
that was so weird.
There's just like so much of just silence. The terribly long scene of Diane. Yeah, Diane just like dragging herself across the floor.
Just
and then
that
up
was
the
so
was like
unnecessary.
10
It
minutes.
was so long.
Jillian woke up during that scene and she was, because I was watching this last night in bed. Jillian wakes up and she goes, "Why are you watching porn?" And it's I'm not. This is just a really awkward movie.
Well, no, but the scene where she's crawling across the floor didn't even seem like porn. The first girl where it was undressing her, that seemed like porn. That was not.
That was definitely
that was Susan, or that was Susan.
Yeah, no. Okay. Susan seemed fairly pornographic.
Yeah,
But the first scene with the couple, that seemed super
was so weird.
pornographic.
Like, what? Who puts a fucking candle on the floor next to a bed?
Also, who's just rocking a bucket of fried chicken?
And a bottle of wine and an apple.
Seriously.
And what
Dude
kind of
needs to-
like what? How big of a dick is this bed that it takes this fried chicken, it eats it all, and then it puts the bones back in the bucket, puts the lid back on, and puts the bucket back where it was?
How did it do that?
I don't know. It's a lot of things I don't know about this film.
Ben, I
that
feel
was
like you need to
impressive.
just, when you edit this, you need to just have the crunching sounds dispersed throughout.
Crunch. That's why I wish somebody had taken a bite of an apple right when we started. Oh man, yeah,
No.
it literally made a note. Very little music, just weird synth sounds.
I do think that this is the first movie we've watched that could legitimately be confused for a porno.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. There was a character who was named Rusty Russ. I don't remember who that was, but there was definitely a character whose name was Rusty Russ.
Wasn't that Susan's brother?
Could have been.
And he was
It wouldn't have been Susan's brother. It would have been
The girls.
Sharon's brother. Sharon's brother.
Sharon's brother. That's right. So it was Sharon's brother, and he was played by the same guy that plays Mr. Matthews in Boy Meets World.
That's so funny that it was him.
Well,
But
at least he was able to continue his career after this.
yeah.
I mean, to be fair, and I don't want to step on any of your research, it wasn't out at the time to nuke his career.
Hey, yeah, don't you're jumping on you're getting too far ahead of yourself.
Okay. My bad.
was Rusty Russ, who was that's funny that his name is William Russ. Does he go by Rusty Russ?
I don't remember hearing his name at all throughout
It says,
the movie.
oh, maybe he goes by Rusty Russ, and that's actually his name. Because on IMDb it just says his character name is Sharon's brother.
He doesn't have a
Rusty
name.
Russ.
They never mentioned it.
Sharon's brother as Rusty Russ, so he must go by Rusty Russ.
Oh my god.
Wow. I had no idea that he went by Rusty Russ. And all right, fair enough.
Good for him.
Yeah. So, I mean, clearly the terrible quality of the filming, the terrible music and sound, the terrible acting,
unnecessary narration. Why did we need the guy behind the painting? That
Oh.
felt
Yeah.
so unnecessary throughout all of it.
well, because how
I
would we have
needed it.
known what was going on? Yeah, if we
Exactly.
didn't have him, we would not have known what the fuck was going on.
Okay. I would like to see a cut of this movie without the narration and see if it makes less sense.
I feel like it definitely would.
I guarantee you it would, but it would. And I know I'm getting into nitty gritty of it. Would have been so much better, but actually get that into dialogue from actual characters in the movie, and not just some guy stuck behind a painting that can only communicate once every 10 years by someone touching the painting
I know.
for 3 seconds.
No, it was when the demon
The demon
had to go to
sleeps.
sleep. The demon who was in a tree or
For some
shit.
reason.
And he just randomly went to sleep, and it's conveniently, I would say, went to sleep.
Absolutely plot convenience there.
Didn't they mention it that it can only be done once every 10 years or whatever?
Yeah, so demons
Yeah.
sleep once every 10 years, and after the demon couldn't be with the chick when he made the deathbed in the field, he
went into
ran
the
off and
tree.
sat in a tree until that moment where he went to sleep.
No, it was more than that moment, because it had been more than
I guess
10
it had
years.
been a
Because
long
it had
time.
been the painter had been in there for 70 years.
He had slept 20 or 30 times.
Yeah.
I think 1873 was on the gravestone, so it would have been 100 years-ish.
Yeah. Wild. No, that's, I mean, if you had actually maybe found a better way to tell the story and
I think the focus was too much on the bed. The bed was the main character of the movie.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Well, and
had they told a more coherent story from the people's perspective, where they have a reason to be there, and they're they're just in this room, stand on it's they're at this resort and they're oh, this is
Well,
the
and
most
then
suitable
when they
room,
switch-
and here's a bed.
switched to just having the shack over the mansion. It's oh, clearly you couldn't shoot inside of the mansion, so
Yeah.
had to just be oh
Exactly.
yeah, the bed
No,
consumed
but
the
I
whole
do
house.
think-
But yeah, no, that was funny.
I do think a change in perspective could do this movie a lot of favors, and oh, shit keeps disappearing, what's happening, and kind of lean into the mystery, and then you discover what, the bed's been eating people.
Let Guillermo del Toro direct it.
Okay,
We might actually get a good movie at that point.
I was against the idea of redoing this movie because I actually liked this movie, but Ben, the idea of Guillermo del Toro designing a deathbed creature, that's
For real.
awesome. That's a stroke
And
of
I
genius.
feel like he would just make a great story too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guillermo, he's the man. Or else whoever did the Sleepy Hollow from the 90s, or I guess it was early 2000s, with Johnny Depp and Christina Ricci, which I think a lot of people is kind of I would say it is underappreciated.
Oh, absolutely. That's a good movie.
I enjoy it.
99.
Patrick, you should know that I bought it on iTunes, so.
Oh, really? That's good.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Came out in 99.
Okay.
Directed by Tim Burton.
Oh, nice. That's like the only horror movie Tim Burton's really, like, straight up horror movie he's ever really done, I would say. I don't know. I guess Sweeney Todd has elements of horror, and
Yeah, and Frankenweenie was definitely horror. So
Frankenweenie is really. I haven't
No.
seen it.
I'm just joking.
Okay.
I was gonna say that doesn't sound right.
All right. So we've pretty much established what made it bad. So let's move on to which character was the worst.
Was
Definitely-
it Rusty Rust?
Take
No,
your fucking pick.
I think Rusty Russ was pretty good. I would say the first guy who brought the fucking fried chicken and shit, because he was
No.
just a horn dog. He was such a horn dog, and like, just clearly like that all could have been avoided if he wasn't such a dickhead.
Nah, that dude is there to get some, and he wants it. And he also came prepared with fried chicken, so...
Brings fried
And
chicken
wine?
to a date. I'm sorry, but I cannot.
Right. Well, and who drinks wine with fried chicken?
Yeah, that is
The
very
deathbed.
Well, yeah, because they didn't get to. Because that weird dude didn't get to.
I loved that you, like, heard the deathbed gulping the wine.
Yo,
And like, the scenes where it was eating people were the best. Like when he ate Susan, and it was just like the skeleton with the blonde wig.
Okay, my favorite part of the whole thing was when Rusty Rust, like, stabs it, and it grabs his hands, and he pulls them out,
I
they're
gotta
just
kill the
skeletons.
bed.
And then he's like sitting in the corner, and he's like, I'm
they
gonna
start
be
falling
like this forever. And then it breaks off, and he's like, oh, cartilage is wearing out.
And he's just like, break them off.
Just so, like, accepting of it.
Yeah,
bad.
what an incredible movie.
So I would say either Susan or the guy at the beginning. I'll let Tim be the tiebreaker.
Susan or the guy at the beginning. See, I don't even know if I'd want to give it to
I don't know.
Susan.
You got to see Susan naked.
I didn't want to see Susan naked. But Susan, so I nominate Susan for this because she was a real bitch. Like, she was there and she was like, I'm just going to go to sleep. And then when I wake up, I'll tell them that I'm sick, and I'm so sick they have to take me home. And it's like, man, fuck
Why
you,
the fuck
Susan.
did she want to go anyways?
Yeah, weird that Susan was even there.
Yeah. And also, why spring this plan into action when you wake up? Why not just
Tell them right fucking now.
Well,
you can
yeah.
go.
And if you're having someone run away from home who is like in their late teens, maybe 20s,
yeah.
why are you bringing a random girl who doesn't want to be there with you?
Just a very awkward trio.
And who you don't like, also. Like, they
Yeah,
clearly
apparently they
did not
hated her,
like
so
her.
why even?
That was super random that Susan was there. Well, I guess, yeah, Susan was
Yeah,
the worst.
give it to Susan.
I kind of feel bad for her, but yeah, you're right. Susan was the worst. You convinced me. Although,
And I did
get
not
to
want to
see
see
her
her
na-
naked.
I mean, I will not complain. Tim?
Her tits weren't that great, but
They weren't, but they were all right.
The chick in the first scene was hotter,
Didn't get to see her naked.
but you got to see her boobies.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, you do.
like a split second.
Yeah.
Huh. I guess I wasn't paying close enough attention. All right, so which character was the best / most compelling?
This is the bed for sure.
Yeah.
Like, without
Or
a
else the
doubt.
guy in the wall?
No, the bed. Definitely the bed.
Yeah, you're right. It's the bed.
I mean, the guy in the wall, maybe they could be seen as like a single unit. The guy in the wall and the bed together.
That's, yeah, like...
But if I'm going to split them up, the bed.
Yeah, you're right. It's the bed.
Agreed.
I mean, the bed... Like, what a fucking loud eater. How rude is the bed?
But it wasn't really that loud. It was only loud to us, because
Yeah,
The-
no one
the
could
people-
fucking
yeah.
hear it.
Oh, I
The
guess
people
that's
who were making out on the bed could not hear it eating the apple or
Yeah.
eating the fried chicken or drinking the wine.
And I just love that she like takes out the apple and like sets it down, and it's so obvious. And it's at the very beginning of the movie, and I'm watching a movie called Deathbed, the bed that eats, and a woman sets an apple down on the bed, and I'm like, huh, they really mean this literally. Like, I'm about to watch a bed eat an apple, and then the bed spits out the core.
Yeah. And like it like was just dissolving things in like acid stuff or something.
Yeah.
It was all weird. Very weird.
This was a good movie.
It was. It was.
For all
Well.
the wrong reasons, though.
So then do we move on to I think we're on to number 5, which is was it so bad it was good?
100%. It is the definition of a movie that is so bad it was good. It is the
Yeah.
reason that we do this podcast.
Yeah. No,
Agreed.
it's definitely true.
This one,
Definitely
in
true.
my opinion, as far as like so bad it's good, this one outdoes Troll 2.
It's
Well, it's because it's a worse movie than Troll 2. Troll 2 is a bit more coherent,
Which
sadly.
is amazing. It's a worse movie than Troll 2.
well, I mean, that was one thing that I kept blowing my mind is how much of the dialogue was clearly just overdubbed. Like they were just like, "Oh yeah, we did not have the recording equipment on set to like actually record this dialogue, so we just overdubbed a conversation."
Yeah, the whole
'Cause-
scene.
Like, yeah, and it's like, well, and then like they would just like kind of make you realize that it was a thought by like having there be like a slight difference in the sound.
Oh
when
yeah, it was
someone
like
just
slightly
thinking
more
something.
echoey.
Yeah, like if somebody was just thinking something
just
versus like actually saying
nuts.
something. And that was like the only way that you could actually differentiate that because a lot of the time you couldn't even tell if their mouths were moving. Like I'd actually be interested to watch a non-pirated version because of that, because I would be curious to see like, but I feel like also watching like a super bootleggy copy is part of the charm of this too. But it would be interesting to see if their mouths are actually ever moving.
I mean, so absolutely. I totally agree with you. The way we watched it, though, has to be the most legal way that you can.
No, we'll get there, but
Okay.
I mean, I found it online pretty easily. Like,
well, yeah,
to
it's
watch
on
the
it's on
website.
YouTube. It's on YouTube even, and like I
Yeah.
mean, it's not they're not going to take it down, but there are other ways that I think would probably have a higher quality because we're probably watching rips from bootleg copies.
Amazon
But,
puts up
well-
a rip of a bootleg copy.
We'll get there. Wait, does Amazon really have it up?
Oh, yeah. How did you guys watch it?
I just found a free website.
I watched it on YouTube.
Oh, I watched it on Amazon.
Was it free on Amazon?
Yeah.
Oh,
Really? I didn't see that in my search, so... Huh.
I probably watched a more legal version than you guys did, and I'll tell you, it sounds like we had a similar experience.
Literally in the first scene, I was like, my third note is literally can't see their faces, so I don't know if this is just overdubbed. And then after a while, I was like, oh yeah, most of this dialogue and like most of this movie is overdubbed.
Yeah. No, yeah, we had a very similar experience because like even the legal version was not like it looked terrible.
Okay. Huh. Interesting. All right. Well, so we've established that it was so bad it was good. So would it have been better as a Netflix/HBO series? I don't know. If you like Guillermo, get balls deep in it. It could be incredible. Like Guillermo make a series out of it.
Yeah, actually let Guillermo make like a series. So picture this, like a series of anthologies of like whodunits where
Ooh, almost kind of like the that show that the Duplass brothers have, Room 104 or whatever, that's on HBO.
I haven't
it's
seen
just like-
that.
Every week it's like a different thing happening in
Yeah,
the
so
realm.
kind of like that, except like a whodunit, like an old fashioned whodunit, almost like Clue
Except for the answer is always the bed.
Exactly. And they always end up blaming one person, but we know the answer is always the bed.
Oh, man.
That
that'd be great, but
interesting.
the movie as it stands being made into something longer, no, you can't.
I agree.
Yeah, no, that movie was like a lot of the time I was just like, "Fuck, this is so boring."
And it was
You want to know
so
what
long.
my second note is?
What?
Ben, I'm going to kill you. That was 2 minutes in.
I don't know how that's the longest an hour and 17 minutes has ever felt.
Yeah. I was like,
Agreed.
oh my God, I gotta be getting to the end here. And I like checked, I was like 35 minutes in.
I did the exact same thing. I was like, oh my God, I must be close to the end. And I was like, oh fuck, there's
I
still
wasn't even
half an hour to go.
halfway.
Oh, I was still at a half an hour to go. I was like, oh my gosh.
It was insane. But so like to make this movie better as a Netflix series, it would have to take some serious reimagining.
Yeah.
As it is though, Jesus Christ, like this movie needs to revisit the cutting room and get cut down to about 30 minutes.
All right, so would it have been better with John Cena?
Absolutely.
I went back and forth on this actually, because this is a movie that I'm like, I don't need Cena in this. But then as we were talking about Guillermo del Toro doing a series, John Cena being the voice of the bed, I would be totally down for that.
See, like,
What if John Cena was the painting guy?
Oh, just like all squashed up in that same little hole. Just big ass John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man,
Exactly. And
Yes.
instead of an artist, he was just a
a wrestler.
WWE wrestler.
Oh man, yeah. No, this movie would absolutely be better with John Cena. He was, instead of an artist, he was just a WWE wrestler, and the entire time he was playing his John Cena character in the like behind the painting, preaching hustle, loyalty, and respect.
Painting's just a poster of John Cena.
Yeah. Not even like a painting, just a low quality poster with like the WWE logo in the bottom. But not the new one, the scratched one.
Yeah, exactly.
Word life.
Oh man. All right, well, let's move on to burning questions. My first one is, why did Susan's toes bleed?
That was so fucking weird. Like all of a sudden, not her toes, but like in between her toes.
Yeah.
And like we just didn't see where the blood was coming from, but it was definitely coming from somewhere in her toe area. So weird.
Yeah. Very weird.
And then I had a lot, but one of them was like just a general, why the fuck do people keep sleeping in this bed? Like, I get it that the bed is trying to like lure people there, but like, what? Who sees an old ass bed and is like, oh yeah, let's get down, or like, I'm gonna go to
To
sleep.
be fair, that bed did look super freaking comfy.
It was nice and big.
I didn't think it
They
looked
could all
comfy,
fit.
though. They could definitely all fit, all three of them, and apparently an orgy of 8+.
Yeah, the orgy scene was hilarious.
Soon as
Maybe
they
one of
all
those
get
people in the orgy.
Yeah, and they even like call it the orgy.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
Why did Sharon not even try to get away after the bed ate Diane?
Oh yeah, Sharon just chilled out in the room.
She just like sits down and starts crying. She's just like, "Oh fuck, my friend got
absolutely
eaten.
mortified.
I'm just
Couldn't
gonna
do
stay
anything.
here, I guess, and let this bed eat me too."
Yeah, and okay, why did the bed wait so long? Like, okay, the only time the bed used the like sheet trick where it's like whoosh and grabs is when it was pulling Diane back. But like, if it can do that, why isn't it doing that the whole time?
It's a good point. Yeah, why isn't
Why
it just
did it let
grabbing
her get
people?
almost out the goddamn door?
Exactly.
Well, and if it can do that, why doesn't it just eat everyone as soon as they come in the door?
Yeah, why isn't it just like whoosh, and grab them and eat them?
Yeah, exactly. That's a very good question. My last one was, can the bed talk?
If it can, it better sound like John Cena.
I mean, because the guy kept talking to it, so I wondered if it
I think
could
it's because
talk
he was
back.
like a ghost. They were kind of telepathically communicating. That's the best answer I can fucking give you.
Fair enough. Pat, you said you had a bunch?
So I mean, there's so many from this movie. Like, what kind of romantic getaway is this from the very beginning? Like, who? You know what? I've taken Jillian on trips, and I've never.
Yeah, I don't think that was supposed to be a romantic getaway. I think that was supposed to be more like what you took a girl to do, like in high school.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So, like, go find a place where you're not going to get caught by the cops and fuck in the back seat.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
In this case, it was just a
Fuck on a
devil-possessed
deathbed.
bed that's going to eat you.
Yeah. And another question I had. So, stemming from that same scene, she's like, "Did you lock the door?" And he's like, "Ugh, no one's out here." And she's like, "Go lock it anyways." And he's like, "Ugh." And he walks over and he's like, "Oh, must have already locked it." Did the bed lock the door?
Yes.
How?
It ate the whole house.
It seemed to have control over everything in the room. So
Was it the sheets?
It had
Just-
control of everything in the whole house because it ate the whole house.
Okay.
yeah.
I did like that the
Well, and
what's-
it wouldn't let Sharon and her brother out.
oh, that's right.
It
I did
was
like
able to
that
lock it again
the
there.
painter was like teasing the bed. He was like, "I told you years ago you should have moved to the city." What are you being a dick to the bed?
Well, yeah. There's
it
nothing
had
left
tried-
you can do.
Didn't it say at the beginning? I thought it said that it had tried to live in the city and then it got like thrown out of the city and had to live like more in like the mansion or something like that.
It was too overzealous or something when it was
Yeah.
in a highly populated area.
Yeah, and like then people started becoming suspicious or something like that. But yeah, it was funny.
It was
how
during that poor montage of newspaper spinning.
Yeah, those montages.
Oh, yeah. Mayor is outraged or something, and then the next one, mayor missing. How did the bed get its hands on the mayor? That's a question.
He was in the orgy.
Oh God! But okay, another burning question for you: who the fuck finds a bed out in the middle of the field and they're like, "Oh man, what a find," and they take it home?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I don't know if my mom probably would.
Why did Sharon have to die to resurrect the girl so that she could fuck her brother to kill the bed?
Well, yeah, Sharon died. Yeah, Sharon died, and her brother got laid. That was my last note.
Yeah, this was just an overly silly movie that I loved. Pretty much from the chomping. It was so slow and boring, but I loved it the whole time.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, let's move on to forgettable bullshit we found on Wikipedia and sometimes IMDb. So for the box office, the budget was $30,000.
That much? Are you kidding me?
That's an estimated $30,000. But
And that's-
following the film's completion in 1977, Mr. Barry sought a theatrical release for Deathbed, but failed to find a willing distributor. Later on, he received an offer from an LA distributor to release the film on VHS in the UK after they had seen Barry's answer print of the film. I guess that must be an industry term. I don't know what an answer print is, but the distributor offered to pay Barry $1,000 for a VHS release if he could supply them with a print of the film complete with credits. Barry was unable to afford the $3,000 that the credits would have cost, so he declined and the print was sent back to him. Despite this, Portland, which is an obscure British label, released a pirated VHS of the film in the UK without Barry's knowledge, with the film eventually receiving further VHS releases in Australia, New Zealand, and Spain. The Spanish release is dubbed into Spanish and is considered quite rare. Despite the pirated VHS releases outside of the U.S., Barry remained unaware that the film had received any sort of release until 2001.
What? So it was just out for years. And he just had no idea that people were watching his movie. And now it's obviously gotten enough traction that here we are doing a podcast about this movie. I would like, this is a weird way to succeed, but I would call this movie a success.
Yeah, he discovered a forum post about the film by a French film journalist, Jean-Claude Michel, on the website Scarlet Street. And so after he found out about that, he like kind of started like prodding around, and then it received a theatrical release finally in 2003. At the San Francisco Indie Fest. And that year it was also released on DVD. In 2015 it was released on Blu-ray. It's like some indie film producer is the people who put it on Blu-ray and DVD. I don't know. I'd be curious if the Blu-ray... Apparently there's a lot of special features that are like interviews with George Barry and stuff like that. But I don't know. Based on what Pat said, where Amazon has a terrible quality cut, it doesn't sound like the DVD or Blu-ray cuts would probably be any higher quality.
Probably not by much.
Yeah, I would love to see what this movie looks like on Blu-ray, but at the same time, I probably already saw what it looks like on Blu-ray.
Yeah,
Pretty
exactly.
Much. There's not much more they can do with it, even if they up the resolution.
Yeah. So Barry Meyer from Film Monthly gave the film a slightly positive review, writing, "Deathbed is such a true original that you have to overlook all of its faults and just go with it and enjoy this whimsical drug-induced nightmare."
Drug-induced is for certain.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, I feel like that kind of story really encapsulates this movie. Like when I read that this afternoon, I was like, wow, that makes a lot of sense.
Jesus. That's so insane that like the movie was out and he discovered it on a forum.
Yeah.
For 25 years about.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And
it's crazy.
I wonder how that, so like, not to like get into his emotions or whatnot, but I do wonder how that made him feel. I wonder, like, was it frustration that someone had pirated his movie and sent it out without his knowing? Or was it like satisfaction that someone had seen his movie that he worked on?
I would guess he probably had mixed emotions on that.
Yeah. God. I mean, I don't know. It's a lot like Troll 2. It's definitely up there with Troll 2 and The Room. In like, it's just such a disaster that it's succeeding by failing.
Yeah, that it definitely is. That it definitely is. Yeah. Absurdly.
Yeah.
Almost, even.
What other bullshit we got this week?
That's it for the forgettable bullshit.
All right.
But since we don't only watch bad movies and TV, let's talk about some of the stuff that we have genuinely enjoyed watching. Pat, let's start with you.
So I watched Castle Rock this week. So Castle Rock, Hulu released the first 3 episodes of season 2. And
so they like to do that with their shows, where they just release the first 3 episodes
just to get you hooked.
To get you hooked. Yeah.
And then it's 1 episode per week.
Mm-hmm. I kind of like that.
Yeah, no, I actually really like that. I think that that's a really cool concept, because the way Netflix does it, of like just binge it all, we discussed how that can be problematic last week, but like one a week is like, oh, I'm going to try this out, and if I like one episode, then I really want another. It's good to have like 1, 2, 3 that you can watch really quick, and then next week you're like, man, can't wait to get back to that. And that's exactly what happened to me. Is like the first episode I thought was good, and it ended really cool. The second episode I thought was good. The third episode I thought was really awesome, and it started to kind of take shape as what it is, and it's something very different from the first season. And I like it a lot. I don't like it as much as the first season, but I am really enjoying it.
Nice. That's cool.
It's got some like extremely violent scenes, which were like, I don't like seek out violence in the media I consume, but it also doesn't. It's not something that I like actively avoid. But there are some things in this second season that I watched that I was like, oh, God, that made me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, I'm excited to watch that. I haven't started it yet, but I'm definitely very excited to. I really enjoyed the first season, and I see myself enjoying the second season also.
I still need to watch season 1. Don't hate me.
Season 1 is so good. I loved it. You should definitely check it out, Tim. Like, I mean, even like if you're done with whatever you got to do today after this, like just tonight, go watch the first episode, because the first episode of season 1 at the very end has a hook that's like, oh fuck, and like I'm in, and season 2 doesn't have that.
Fair enough.
Maybe I'll check it out tonight. We'll see.
Fair enough. Well, Tim, what about you? What have you been watching?
So the biggest thing of note I guess I watched this week was I marathoned the Back to the Future movies in one day, which was fun.
So good.
Nice.
Yeah, I love those movies.
That's one of my favorite trilogies to marathon.
They are great.
Because it's so possible. Like, they're all like, what, an hour and a half?
Yeah, they're not long.
Yeah, they're not. It's not the Lord of the Rings. You're not going to be there for 12 hours.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
Okay, Tim, which is the best one?
It's the best one? The first one. Absolutely. Second one comes close. The third one's definitely the worst, though.
No, second one's the best. Third one is the worst, for sure. But second one is the best.
Yeah, third one is by far the worst. First and the second are both pretty damn good.
Ben, was it you that hadn't watched those movies until like a few years ago?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, those are... Like, the second one was so cool because it, like, revisiting and enhancing the first one was just such an awesome thing. And especially back then, it was so unique.
Yeah, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense.
I would say one of the all-time greatest trilogies.
Agreed.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that too. Like, and it's very complete. Although, aren't they? Hasn't there been talk of potentially rebooting or something like that?
No, Zemeckis was very, very specific of maintaining the rights. And like it's even written into his will, like where the rights will go to, who the rights will go to, and whatnot. And like he has it basically locked down hard that those movies will never get rebooted or remade or a sequel or anything.
Oh well, that's good then.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. The closest thing you'll ever get to the sequel is the Back to the Future game that came out.
Yeah,
the Telltale game,
which I've heard is really, really good.
It's actually pretty good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Had a lot of fun with it. So.
Right on. Well, me personally, I have been watching The Watchmen on HBO, and it is fucking pretty awesome so far. There've only been 2 episodes so far, but yeah, I'm hooked. I'm definitely all in.
I've heard it's really awesome.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's really cool. A lot of fun. I don't want to give away too much, obviously, but it's just, it's really, there's enough that it feels familiar if you watched the movie or read the comic or the graphic novel or both. But then it's also different enough that you're like, huh, what is going on?
Is it better than the Zack Snyder?
I mean, it's in the Zack Snyder world, so.
Oh, it occurs within the same universe as the movie?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's awesome.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying it feels different enough that it's like, oh, this is cool. Like,
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
definitely
no,
going to
it's-
check that out.
yeah, no, it's really cool. I really, yeah, like I said, I've really been enjoying it, and yeah, it's just it's an interesting take on what life can and has become, sort of, almost in some ways.
Nice.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, we're gonna have to cut here because I don't know what the fuck. I forgot to fucking pick a movie.
Oh, okay. Well, hold on. Let's look at the schedule. So, Ben, this week we have Olympus Has Fallen coming out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Will that come out on Thursday?
Yeah.
Okay, so that'll come out on the 31st. Next week will be Happy Death Day to You.
Mm-hmm.
Or Happy
No,
Death
just
Day.
Happy Death Day. Yeah.
The following week will be this Godfather 3. Because Godfather is always considered a Thanksgiving movie. And if we do Godfather 3 this week, or so if we record Godfather 3 next week, it'll come out on Thanksgiving.
Is Godfather 3 a bad movie?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Where is it available to watch?
I've never seen any of them, so.
So, Tim, if we are going to do Godfather 3, it would, like, honestly, Godfather and Godfather 2 are so good that they would be worth watching for you. But Godfather 3 is terrible. Oh, we would have to rent it.
Rip.
Fuck. Because that one's so good.
Well, if we want to keep on the horror.
No, and
we
we still need to do. There would still need to be because so Olympus Has Fallen comes out on the 31st. Happy Death Day comes out on the 7th. Deathbed comes out on the 14th. The 21st is still a Thursday, and then Thanksgiving is until the 28th.
I thought
Yeah.
it was the third week.
Thanksgiving is the
It's
28th.
the last. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So if we want to keep on a horror kick, I do have a really, really, really bad movie in the same vein of what we just watched.
I'm listening.
Have you ever heard of Evil Bong versus the Ginger Dead Man?
Oh, God. Yeah, I have.
I feel like I have heard of it.
It is something, and I think it's actually on Hulu. So
Ooh, we could watch The Commuter and get some Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson's always good.
Liam Neeson kicking ass and just basically doing
Doing the exact same role he's always done.
5. Well, since Taken.
Yeah. I'm down with that.
It's
yeah,
on
Peter sounds
Prime.
good to me.
Jaime Colette Serra is the director. How do you say that? Jaime?
Jaime.
It's Jaume.
Jaume. Jaume. Jaume.
Be
Colette.
Jaime.
Well, Colette
Are you
is
sure?
French. So Jaume.
I don't know.
I'm looking up Bull Moose. Maybe we can buy a used copy of The Godfather and then mail it to each other. Because we would have one more week.
Well, if we're doing the commuter, do we want to get the outro done?
Yeah. Hold on. Let me just.
Yeah.
All right. So that wraps up this week's discussion of Happy Death. Oh, shit.
Happy Death Day on the mind.
No, it was
Good
just
movie.
literally typed in there.
Oh,
I'm just reading.
deathbed.
All right, let's fix that. All right, that wraps up this week's discussion of Deathbed, the bed that eats. Join us next week when we'll be discussing the 2018 Jaume Colette Serra film, The Commuter. Don't forget to check out our incredible website, ColdNorthPro.com, where you can see everything we do in one place, specifically like our weekly gaming podcast, Hard Reset. See you next time, and don't forget, no refunds.
I'm good with this. I'm good with no refunds on this one.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't pay anything for it.
Yeah.